Giving you one more chance to prove your love to me. If you don't toe the line this time, then you'll be history. Your actions will determine if I'm gonna let you stay. So you better pay attention now to what I've got to say. If you don't want my love, then get your biscuits out of my oven. If you walk out that door, I ain't gonna warm your buns no more. But did you mean it when you said I do, or will you leave me with the biscuit blue? If you don't want
You're listening to Mr. Radio, and I'm your host, Marshall. If you don't want my lovin', get your biscuits out of my oven. What a great way to start today's show, and what a better way to introduce this song to you than with a musician who started playing at the age of 8 when her father bought her an electric guitar, which she promptly traded in for a nylon string acoustic model. And she was influenced by the folksy sounds of the Clearwater Music Festival in nearby Tarrytown, New York. Then she got the bug to play any instrument she could get her hands on and learn every song that was blasting on her AM transistor radio, which usually meant adding a harmony to a Motown tune. I'm so glad to introduce you to the very talented vocalist, songwriter, guitar, and fiddle player for Blue Plate Special, Jay Friedman. Welcome, Jay.
Why, thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, we are certainly glad to have you here. I remember hearing Bisquick Blues performed live many years ago, but it took some time before it appeared in an album. Why the long wait? And more importantly, I think there's a history behind that track.
Yes, indeed there is. So most of the songs we record are our original tunes. And that's an exception because our guitar player at the time, James Hempfling, he told us about his fabulously talented uncle, Uncle Gary from Sperry, Oklahoma, and that he had, written a ton of songs, and this one song, Bisquick Blues, would be perfect for Blue Plate Special. Well, it turns out lots of his songs fit right in the zone there. And we loved it, and we loved the way that James sang it, and it became one of our sort of signature tunes.
And why so long before you put it on an album?
We're so busy writing music and playing. It's recording is a labor of love, but it means you sort of stop everything else and you focus on recording, and that's tough. Although nowadays we have plenty of time for recording since there are no gigs and the landscape has shifted a bit. But we're not usually hell bent on recording. We're kind of out there putting our music out in the world, and every couple of years we decide, okay, it's time to document and preserve these tunes.
Not only are you recording the sound, but I'm really fascinated by the cover art for all of your albums. The back by popular demand looks like it's a vinyl tablecloth from a diner. Who does all your art?
Well, up until now, my husband Tom Wise has been sort of the in-house graphic guy. He's an illustrator, so it's kind of a perfect fit for him. This time we actually did hire somebody to do it because we had a very stylized concept in mind, and we found someone who sort of was right there in the pocket for that look, so it worked out pretty well. And of course, with that title track, Back by Popular Demand, you can tell we don't take ourselves too seriously, since as far as I know, there was no popular demand, but, a girl can dream.
Well, speaking of a girl can dream, your bio states that you picked up playing the guitar at the age of 8. Did you learn on your own, or did you also have some formal education?
I think my dad was learning to play guitar. It was sort of that folk revival, Where Have All the Flowers Gone, and, the Blowing in the Wind kind of thing. And so he got me a guitar, and we played together. And then, I don't know, he thought somehow that I should take other, he was very supportive. Both my parents were supportive, and I lived in the town of Greenburgh, which is part of Westchester County, and there was an amazing summer program that was free for all kids. They gave you instruments to try out, and you could learn to play 5 different instruments if you wanted to. It was at the county center program. It was incredible. I had a lot of opportunities there, so very lucky.
And did that encourage you to study music in high school as well?
Yeah, I was the band geek kind of kid, I never played fiddle though for some reason. I know. I wanted so badly to be a drummer in the marching band, and I played the field drum, and wow, I got a lot of like bad vibes from the guys. They were like, a girl can't be a drummer. And I went to the band director, whose name was Mr. Ellington, and yes, he was the nephew of Duke Ellington. Although we weren't that impressed by that, because I remember thinking, so what, he's his nephew, who cares, But now, of course, I realized that was amazing. And he said, the boys are giving you a hard time. Here's a clarinet. And I switched to clarinet. I guess I wasn't too gutsy, but anyway, none of it really matters. But, and then, times were different then.
And then you continued in college, and according to your bio, you studied ethnomusicology.
Yes.
What is ethnomusicology?
Oh, it's sort of a branch of anthropology where you kind of delve into the culture with a lens that looks at music. And I was really interested in Americana and women in country music and the whole Carter family, roots of Appalachian music and how it sort of morphed into country music and how come it was so male-dominated. And these were the things that I found interesting. So I decided, why not study it? So, and I went to this amazing small college within the University of Michigan. It's called the Residential College, and they pretty much let you study whatever you want if you have a strong rationale. And that's sort of what I sort of crafted my own major. So it was pretty exciting.
Now back to something that you mentioned earlier when I asked about the cover art. You said that Tom was the main influence in much of the cover art, and right. I know that Tom is close to your heart, and I thought maybe we could listen to one of his tunes from your album Tracks, and
Great.
It's Ship Comes In, and it's written and sung by Tom Wise. Ship Comes In.
It's alright to shed a tear. Things are not what they appear. It ain't no crime and it ain't no sin. Celebrate when your ship comes in. Celebrate when your ship comes in. Shout out loud and say amen. It'll carry you through the campaign. Celebrate when your ship comes in. Go ahead, swing and dance. It's alright to take a chance. Can't have joy without some pain. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Celebrate when your ship comes in. Shout out loud and say amen. It'll carry you through the campaign. Celebrate when your ship comes in.
something new. Don't know what's in store for you, so you try to keep an open mind. Never know just what you'll find. Celebrate when your ship comes in. Shout out loud and say amen. It'll carry you through thick and thin. Celebrate when your ship comes in. Celebrate when your ship comes in. Celebrate when your ship comes in.
That was Ship Comes In, which was written and sung by Tom Wise, and I have the honor of speaking with Tom's wife, Jay Friedman, member of Blue Plate Special. How did you and Tom meet?
We met in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I actually went out one night to this legendary bar called Mr. Flood's Party, and there was this amazing country band playing, and the bass player was a mutual friend, and that's how I met him. Back in the day when you used to meet people in person.
Yes, way back in the day. Way back in the day. And so did you start singing and playing with him from the get-go?
No, actually, I didn't. It was many years later that we decided to collaborate. We kind of had our little separate orbits, so I know it was foolish, very foolish, but just didn't work that way. But I was a super fan. He was in some tremendous bands back in Ann Arbor. So
was it also bluegrass, or was it a different
more country? I'd put it out, or maybe Western swing and country music. Yeah, bluegrass. We really didn't start kind of getting into the world of bluegrass until we were living in the epicenter of all things bluegrass. Bergen County, New Jersey. So that's when it started. But who knows? Who really knows how it all works?
And you mentioned the other members of your band. Who are they, and what are they? What are their contributions to the band?
Okay, well, from the band, we've really been together for 20 years by now, and one of the key people in the band is Dave Gross. He's the mandolin player, singer, songwriter as well, and he's also sort of the brains behind the arrangements. And he's the recording genius. He really knows how to, do home recording because he's an audio engineer. That's what he does by trade, so it's not any stretch for him. Or maybe he's a video engineer. That's probably a better description. But he is the one who really masterminds these projects. And, and then currently, besides Dave and my husband Tom, we have a relatively new member of the band. It's been a year and a half now. Nick Conti is our guitar player, singer-songwriter, tremendously talented guy. So we're really lucky to have him. He adds a lot to our sound. A lot of fun.
I know that you've been personally influenced by some other musicians, legendary musicians, actually. Can you tell us something about how they've shaped your career? I think Les Paul and Tony Trischka, perhaps?
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder who my influences are, because when I write a song, I think, oh, my God, where did that come from? Or, it kind of changes over time. But, yeah, Tony Trischka, he is something else. He is a Bergen County resident, and he's, such a, we all know and adore him. He's got a new project out that we all should be checking out. And yeah, we just played with him the other day. We played at some sort of event that was for voting. We were playing at a poll in Fairlawn, if you can believe it. That was a lot of fun. And the Les Paul connection, I mean, that is just insane. I have a jazz piano friend named John Coliani, like a legendary jazz guy. And he played with Les Paul for a long time at the Iridium in New York, that Monday night Iridium gig. And he called me one day and he said, hey, we need a place to practice. I don't have a piano. Can we come over and practice? I'll bring Les Paul and the band. We'll practice. And I was like, you want to practice at my house? Sure. And next thing I hear, there's a knock at the door, and it's Les Paul at my door. And so that sort of made that connection. And we played with him at his at the Iridium one night. That was a thrill. You know, you know how it is. It's like you can't even really believe it happened, but it happened. And but I keep an open mind. I embrace all different kinds of music, and always looking for women singer-songwriters. Also, there's such a crop of young, mega talent coming out of Berkeley now, and oh my God, just there's always new voices to be heard and new sounds. It's great.
When you recently played with Tony Trischka, was that social distance playing? How do you do that nowadays?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. When we played with Tony, we were outside in a parking lot, and actually the head honcho of the election marshal said you've got to be 50 feet from the building. So we had to actually move to the other side of the parking lot. Very glamorous gig, but we didn't care. The idea was sort of to lift everybody's spirits on election day, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, we're socially distanced, wearing masks, and that's how the band practices now. I mean, it's getting tougher with the weather getting colder, but we've managed to have all our rehearsals outdoors, sometimes around a fire pit. It almost feels like a music festival, when you're gathered around a campfire. It's a lot of fun. And we take distancing very seriously, especially when there are all these warnings about singing, that when you sing, you're sort of, your germs are really flying all around. So, but yeah, we've managed to all throughout the pandemic to keep playing together. We have not had gigs, but we've done a few projects online where I'm sure you've seen them, where it almost looks like the musicians are side by side, but they've done the recording individually in their homes, and then somebody edits all the 4 boxes together. We've done that, and about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had the most exciting film shoot. We were invited by Dave Sloman, who's a local musician who has a band, a fabulous rock band, indie rock band called Waiting for Henry. He was invited to make a music video for Team Joe Sings, a Joe Biden project. And he called us up and said, "Hey, does Blue Plate Special want to back me up for a Joe Biden, tune?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So again, we had a distanced photo shoot in our backyard, and you can check it out. You just have to Google Team Joe Sings or Waiting for Henry. Buy American is the name of Dave Sloman's amazing tune. And we had so much fun doing that. Dana Glazer, who's a local filmmaker, he shot it. It was a real lift to be involved with that. So somehow, even though there's nothing happening, we make it happen. We're very busy, and we're writing like crazy. We're all just cranking out new tunes, and it's I have extra time on my hands. I'm not out till 1 a.m. playing gigs, so plenty of time for songwriting, plenty of time for learning new tunes. It's great.
And I guess the technology that we have today is a boon to helping artists in dealing with this situation.
It is. It's still a little frustrating, even though we can record, and even though I've dipped my toe into this digital audio recording world where I use Cakewalk. That's my favorite software. I can record a project, and I can swap tracks with different friends. It's great. The thing that we still can't do 100% with 100% accuracy is this online practice. From your Zoom meetings, there's this god-awful latency issue. So we're experimenting with a brand new program called Jacktrip. It's free. You just have to be clever enough to figure out how to download it, and then to basically get into one another's modems and networks. And the latency is slight, not perfect. I think once 5G comes, we'll all be in better shape. But yeah, the technology's kind of keeping us afloat. It really is. I don't know what we'd be doing without it, quite honestly.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned 5G, because I don't know if many of our listeners know what a rotary phone is, but on your liner notes you call it campy, swingy, and fun. why don't we listen to some old technology with rotary phone from your Back by Popular Demand album?
All right. If there any kids are listening and you don't know what a rotary phone is, just Google it.
Call me up on my rotary phone. I don't want to hear no dial tone. Scribble down my number on your 3-ring binder. Figured you could use a little reminder. Call me up on my rotary phone. Take me out for a night on the town. We'll stay out of trouble till the sun goes down. Got your daddy's Pontiac. It's awful cozy in the back. Take me out for a night on the town. Why won't you? Why don't you? Can't say no to me. Call me on the rotary. Why won't you? Why don't you? Call me on the rotary. Can't say no to me. Why don't you give this gal a little diamond ring? Dial DR549. Reach me on the party line. Give this gal a reason to sing. Why won't you? Why don't you? Can't say no to me. Call me on the rotary. Why won't you? Why don't you? Call me on the rotary. Can't say no to me.
That was Rotary Phone by Blue Plate Special, and I have the honor of speaking with Jay from Blue Plate Special. One of your early albums was Nowhere Fast, and you wrote that it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, that it didn't take long for a song to be picked up by a public radio station and 2 tunes to be featured in PBS documentaries. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Wow. Let me remember now. One was called The Appalachians, this beautiful PBS documentary that I guess sort of focused on the history of the Appalachian culture, but through multiple perspectives, as opposed to, settlers, European settlers. And they used Nowhere Fast sort of as the theme song for when there was that migration north looking for jobs in the city. So, it was a great image of like that Beverly Hillbillies look of the truck loaded up with all one's worldly possessions, heading for yet another miserable, economy. But that was one example. And then one day I got this phone call. I thought I was being punked by my children for some, how they have those terrible practical jokes. And someone said, "Oh, I'm calling from Bill Couturier's, Grammy Award-winning or, Academy Award-winning film company, and we'd like to use your song, The Bluebird of Happiness." And I really thought it was a joke. So I said, "Oh, great, sure, have your lawyer, send me a contract." And I didn't really think it was legit. I'm so used to being scammed all the time. So sure enough, 3 days later, a a contract arrives in the mail, and they want to use the song "Bluebird of Happiness" for a film called Into the Fire that was going to focus on how the roles of firefighters have changed over the years. Not really sure how that song dovetailed, no pun intended, but so they did. That was a real offer to have a song used in a film, so we were thrilled about that. And one time we were playing down at the Ridgewood Farmers Market, and the man came up to us and said, "I love the sound of your band. I have a radio show on Philadelphia Public Radio. Is that WHYY?" And he said, "I need a theme song. Can you guys write me one?" And we said, "Oh, sure." Of course, we scrambled, and we wrote a song for him called "Been There, Done That." That was Marty Goldenson. And we heard our song on public radio, and then his show went off the air, so we were so disappointed. But, again, it's life in the fast lane. You just never know what's around the corner. We're always, opportunities always knocking on our door.
Well,
and, we're ready. We're ready.
Well, we're coming to the end of our program. I have one more comment to make, but before I run out of time, where can listeners get your music?
Well, here in 2020, the easiest way would be to find it through a streaming service, including Spotify or Apple Music, that kind of platform. So it's so easy to find us. There are other bands called Blue Plate Special, but, if you're looking for Jay Friedman Blue Plate Special or Backed by Popular Demand Blue Plate Special, you will find us. We're there. We're ubiquitous. We're all over YouTube. You'll find videos, and then there's our website, which is easy to find too. And you can see videos. We're all over the place. But right now we are working on new songs, and we are sure that when this pandemic is over, we are going to be ready with new songs and new material, and we know that everyone's going to be excited to hear live music again. It's going to happen. It's
been a real pleasure talking to you. I just want listeners to hear or listen to a review of one of your songs that I'd like to close out with. And this was a review in By Jeff Berger, where Jeff writes, Friedman's moody Bed of Roses reminds me of the 70s work of Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks. That's quite a compliment. Can you tell us in like 15 seconds or less about Bed of Roses, and we'll close out with that?
Yeah, I thought I actually was in Ridgewood Coffee one day, and there was a little cross-stitch sampler on the wall that said, "Life is a bed of roses made of thorns." And I thought, next song, if that doesn't sum it up, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so here's a tragic tale that could come from Appalachia or Ridgewood, New Jersey.
Well, thanks again for taking the time to be with us. And this is Bed of Roses from Back by Popular Demand. Jay Friedman.
Thank you.
Stay
Thank
well
you so much. Appreciate
and
it. You
keep
too.
on playing.
Thank you. Take care.
Roses, baby, bed of roses made of a thorn. Life is a bed of roses. Life is a bed of roses. Life is a bed of roses, baby, bed of roses made of thorns. On our wedding day, on our wedding day, forever come what may, I thought I heard you say, life is a bed of roses. Life is a bed of